All right. Welcome, everybody, to the inaugural episode of the Into The Chicane podcast, a Formula One podcast. I'm your host, Channing Apodaca, along with my producer, co-host, Brandon Wood.
Yo.
DJ Brandon Wood, producer.
We're here.
It's great to be here. B-Wood, how do you feel about doing this first one?
I'm excited. There's been a lot of hype behind the scenes, a lot of people anticipating this. So I think now that we're here and finally doing it, I'm just so excited.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Feels nice. Thank you guys for tuning in, first of all. I don't know if you guys follow the Instagram where we've just been putting out the quick pits, little short videos, but this is the inaugural first actual audio podcast that we're doing. So welcome. Thank you guys. Like I said, my name is Channing Apodaca. I'm a comedian based out of Los Angeles. Brandon Wood is a studio, what do you call yourself? Recording engineer?
Yeah, producer, all things music, but most importantly, I'm an F1 fan.
And that's what we're here to discuss. Oh yeah, I don't even know if I mentioned that this is an F1 podcast. Did I?
I think so. I think it's pretty evident by now.
There you go. We're both big racing fans. We wanted to get this started. We love chit-chatting about F1. We can go on for days, and that's what we're going to do with you guys. So the 2023 F1 season is 2 weeks away from where we're recording today. We're recording on February 20th, 2023. We're, 2 weeks out?
Yeah, this coming weekend is our testing.
Yeah, testing in Bahrain.
So we're going to get to see the cars on the track for the first time.
We'll get to see all the new cars. We'll get to see whether or not the teams have figured out porpoising for the final time. We'll get to that a little bit later because we're going to be discussing the liveries and what they've done and how, not only the liveries, but how their transition or their upgrades to every team's car has affected the livery in a way, if you know what I'm talking about. But first, before we do that, I want to do a little bit of news and notes, breaking news. First off, actually, unrelated to F1, how about we give a little bit of a shout out and a congratulations to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for winning the Daytona 500 yesterday. There you go. Congratulations, Ricky. You might be hearing like a little bit of outside racing news here and there. Maybe we'll discuss a little bit of Indy. You're a giant Supercross fan, so maybe we'll give a couple Supercross shout outs. Yeah. There's chicanes in those different series. This could, this is a Formula One podcast. I mean, maybe we'll just be talking about, I took a crazy road through Mulholland. There was a chicane there.
Yeah, it's our podcast. We do whatever we want.
Yeah. Well, you'll probably hear me talking, comparing Formula One and the way they do things to the NHL quite a bit.
Yeah.
But, we won't get too much into, baseball or football because we don't like American sports, even though we are Americans. But first things first, news and notes. So we spent the better part of this month waiting and enjoying all the car launches. But first, I want to talk about breaking news that happened today. Lance Stroll of Aston Martin announced that he's going to be missing preseason testing because he had an incident on his training bike. Now, I don't know what exactly he means by that. If he was like out cycling and he got hit by a car, they haven't really released it. He released a statement where he just said that I'm going to miss testing because I had an incident on my bike while training. I don't know if
what was the actual wording? Let me look.
See if you can find that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But it's big news because we have testing coming up this Friday in Bahrain, and they announced officially from the team and from F1 itself that he's going to be missing testing.
Yeah, so he said an unfortunate accident. So that could mean anything, but
it's a funny way to put it because I've never heard of a fortunate accident.
Yeah, well, unfortunate.
No, there are pretty happy accidents. Yeah. Things go wrong and they work out for the best. Look at what happened with Nikita Mazepin.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. That worked not for him, but that worked out great for F1 and the F1 zeitgeist. Everybody who hated him.
Yeah,
and then our man Nico benefits. From that bigger than anybody.
Yeah. So with Lance out, who do you think's gonna take his spot?
That's exactly what I was getting to.
Wow. Okay.
So with Lance being out, that leaves a vacant spot in testing because his new teammate Fernando Alonso, two-time world champion, the legendary Fernando Alonso, can't do all the testing himself. That would be running way too many laps. And the team also doesn't want to just get data from him. They want to get data from multiple outlets. Ideally, obviously, you would want Lance Stroll in that seat, but with him out, they need to put somebody else in there. I think there are 4 candidates.
Okay.
I think there are 4. Number 4, and I think this is a long shot, Esteban Gutierrez, the former Mercedes reserve driver. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
I think because of the tie-in, because of the contract that Aston Martin has with Mercedes, being their engine supplier, I think that Esteban Gutierrez could be an option because he is a reserve driver. He's got a lot of experience as a reserve driver, as a test driver. He's done this season after season after season. That's my long shot.
Yeah, because they're going to kind of need somebody that has experience in a car before.
Exactly.
So
he's got a lot of experience in an F1 car doing, testing and all that.
yeah, especially for a team like Mercedes, could be a good thing for Aston Martin.
Exactly. He knows, what a good car feels like, and Aston Martin's going to be trying to compete. I don't know if you saw, but Christian Horner came out and said that he had heard, and this sounds like I'm playing a game of telephone, but Christian Horner said that he heard that Aston Martin dumped a lot of money into the production of their car this year, so they might be a dark horse contender. Yeah. They're looking to become the leaders of the midfield.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a few years of a lot of
talk,
investment and upgrade from Aston Martin and Lawrence Stroll specifically. And I think this is the first year that we're actually going to get to see some of that, actual results from all of that.
Exactly. Because after they changed from Racing Point over to Aston Martin, they had a complete overhaul, not only because of the new car regulations, but they got in trouble as Racing Point for copying the Mercedes, which they had to take all those parts off, pay the fine, and then do another overhaul when the new regulations came out. So they've just kind of been in the weeds, I think. So this, like you said, I think this is going to be the first true Aston Martin car with full financial backing from the team, a real inside look into what they have their sights planned on for that team. Because Lawrence Stroll, when he bought the team, said he had a 5-year plan to be competing for a world championship, and I think this might be their first real attempt at dipping their toes in that championship run. Number 3, I have Felipe Drugovich.
It's another good candidate.
He is their reserve driver. He is the Formula 2 champion from last year. The only reason I have him ranked lower than the other two that I've got is because he doesn't have the experience in an F1 car, and testing is so important that they want somebody behind the wheel of that car who's really going to know the ins and outs of that car as opposed to an F2 car. Not to say that he's not a good driver, but he barely, if at all, has the super license points to qualify as a Formula 1 driver. I don't know what his super license point status is.
He was in a couple of the...
He did a few practice sessions,
right?
But those are practice runs for a team that was, battling for 6th place at best.
True.
We're talking about preseason testing. They want to get every millimeter, every millisecond. They want to drain every ounce out of that car that they can, and they're going to need somebody with experience and know-how to do so.
Yeah, I mean, they have, Fernando coming to the team, and that's going to be he's going to be a huge asset for them.
Correct.
All of his experience and knowledge of how, to run a championship team. But
yeah, they're going to get a lot out of Fernando, but if they're able to pull somebody else off, I don't see why they wouldn't do that. And there's nothing wrong with Felipe Drugovich. I think if they go with him, then that's a great option too. Again, he's part of their team. He's potentially their future, He's contracted with them. Why not invest in him and say that we trust you with preseason testing this year? We're going to entrust the future of our team into you. Number 2, might be a dark horse too. I have Mick Schumacher.
You
don't think so?
No.
He's the only former F1 driver. Actually, not true, because Antonio Giovinazzi is a reserve driver. I was going to say he's the only former F1 driver working as a reserve driver this season. And the reason that this is up in the air is also because Nick DeVries and Nico Hülkenberg, who was kind of everybody's reserve driver last year and the year before, now have permanent seats for their respective teams at Haas and AlphaTauri. Mick Schumacher is reserve driver for Mercedes. Again, similar situation to Esteban Gutierrez. Because of the engine tie-in, I think he could potentially be an option. He's got a lot of experience. He's got 2 years under his belt, 2 or 3 years. I forget. 2 or 3 years in F1 under his belt. A lot of hours in a car. He's never, other than, if he's done any driving in the Mercedes so far, but he's never been in a car as good as the Aston Martin, I don't think.
Yeah, but I think he's going to have his hands full with his
Mercedes.
new role with Mercedes. They're going to want him to be kind of close, I think. Just staying in the mix, but We shall see.
You could be right. Mercedes is one of the big teams, and they are also slated to have a really good year this year. Mick Schumacher could potentially be getting time in the car in Bahrain in Mercedes this year.
100%, yeah.
There's a chance. So who knows? If Lewis or George want to take a break from testing, they might throw Mick in there and let him rip it around. But I think there is a slight chance that could happen just because anytime a hole gets punctured in a team's driver lineup or anything having to do with their functionality, crazy shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
We see that time and time again. My number one, I don't think, and I'm not saying that this is who it's going to be, but my number one, who I would love to see, and who I think if they're going to really throw a touchdown pass and try and get somebody in this seat who can really benefit them, 4-time world champion, former Aston Martin driver, Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But
You don't think he'll come out of retirement just for one weekend?
I mean, they'd have to write him a really large check, but
it's going to cost them money.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, but I mean, I will agree with you. That would be great to see. I don't know how much.
I think if they wanted to make a splash and really give fans, and teams are known to do that. They want fans to back them. They want people to get excited. And I don't think there's any way to get people more excited than being like, guess who's back after just stepping away? Seb Vettel.
You never know.
I really do doubt that he wants to do it.
Yeah.
But if they can coerce him, he is the best option.
I mean, he would be able to give a lot of input to the
Exactly.
car. He drove last year's car.
And that's why I think if they're willing to cut Seb a check big enough, which if they want to make a real run and really, go after this season, get all the information that they can early on.
Yeah, we'll have to see how checked out he is. I feel he might already be in retirement mode.
Yeah, he could be planting seeds in, a forest somewhere and picking up bottles at name any stadium around the world, and Seb's there cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Those are my four. Do you think there's anybody else that could be in the mix?
No, I feel like Dragovich might be the most obvious choice, but
He's the easiest, I think.
yeah.
He's the easiest one for them to go to because they don't have to cut him any bigger of a check. There's no borrowing of a contract that they would have to do.
Yeah. It's just
So he probably is the most
yeah.
likely choice. I don't know if he's the best choice. That's why I ranked him number 3.
I love it.
Hell yeah. So let's get into then these liveries.
Let's do it.
So every team, as of recording this, has officially announced and shown their 2023 livery. A lot of the same for some cars, a little bit of change. We didn't really have any kind of a big splash, in a team making a big change. Some of them literally went the exact same route that they've done for years.
Some of them,
Right here, this little guy, Red Bull team really didn't make any change. Some of them went back to classics, but what we did see, and I was kind of alluding to this earlier, is that because of the weight cut that a lot of teams are going for, they use a lot of unpainted carbon fiber, so there is a lot of black on the cars this year.
yes.
I personally love that. How do you feel about it?
I love it too. I think it looks cool. It serves a function.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of funny last year seeing like teams, specifically like the Williams team, which came out at the beginning of the season with like trying to make a huge statement like, this is our new look. This is the Williams thing going forward. And then as the season progressed, as they're trying to like cut down weight, that you just progressively see more and more black on the car.
Yeah. I think you can't go wrong with black. I wear a lot of black clothes, black jeans, black t-shirts. It's neutral. It's fierce. It's a mean look. I love it. I think you either have to do that or go with like a really bold statement like white or the BWP pink that Racing Point used to have and that Alpine now has sometimes. So let's go through. I will rank. Let's go back and forth. We'll jockey back and forth.
I would say we start.
We'll start from the back.
Start from the bottom. I don't know. Okay, let's do it. Start from the back.
You want to start up top with the number 1? No, you can't start with number 1.
Can't start at number 1. Here we go.
Let's start with our number 10s. Who do you have at the number 10 spot?
I picked this team for number 10 because I've never really been a big fan
of the team in general.
Of not of the so-so on the team. Never been a fan of the liveries, and that's Alpine. The pink.
Oh wow!
Not a huge fan of the blue and the pink. The all pink, I can vibe with.
The all pink, I think, is all time. I think that's one of the all time great liveries.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I love the complete juxtaposition of when every team has a different color.
Yeah.
That's why I love like the 2018-2019 season when you had, the Mercedes in either black or silver. You had the yellow car, the Renault, the pink car. Like everything was designated by color, and the grid just looked great.
Yeah.
So I vibe with that. I don't like the blue on the Alpine too much. I'll get there when I rank them, but I do love the pink. At number 10, I have AlphaTauri.
Okay.
I typically, like last season when they first debuted the AlphaTauri colors and it was the dark blue and the white, I loved it. I still like that look. I ranked them at the bottom this year because they really didn't change anything, just like their sister team, but they added the Orlan red tint, the little like stripes on the end wings, a little bit, I think, on the exhaust, a little bit on the rear wing. I forget exactly where they put it, but it looks out of place. It doesn't go with their color scheme. It looks like they took strips of duct tape and then wrote their sponsor's name on it a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of liked last year how it was just almost exclusive, aside from the carbon portions, it was almost exclusively just the white and blue.
Yeah.
And to me, that was super cool. Just, in the way with the graphics and stuff that made it look really clean.
Yeah.
Now with the added like red that's in there, I just kind of...
Yeah,
it's a little too much.
When I first saw it, I liked it at first, and then now as time has gone and I see it more, it just feels like they landed that deal the day before they were supposed to announce their livery.
Yeah,
and they just stuck some stickers on it. Not terrible, not the best, but I think just for lack of effort is why I ranked them in the back.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of last year's car was the AlphaTauri across the back wing.
Yeah.
And now that it's like half and half, it just doesn't quite.
It's going to look weird when that DRS opens.
Yeah.
It's going to look strange.
It'll be different when we actually get to see the real car and all that instead of these stupid renders that they showed us. But
yeah. Also, that's been a big issue when they did a lot of these car launches. Christian Horner came out and said that our cars, the Red Bull's not even going to look the exact same, which sent some people into an absolute frenzy.
Yeah. It's like, why even come out here and have the big show?
Exactly.
The
AlphaTauri one was quick. It wasn't even a live event. It was like a video that they just displayed.
Yeah, because they didn't want anybody taking close pictures of the car that they had there.
So who knows? Maybe we'll see some changes, which honestly I would love. I love when any team just completely flips the script and does something different or brand new. It's fun, even if it's bad. Just take a swing. Yeah. I love one-off liveries too, like when Red Bull did the Japanese.
That was sick.
The all white. Oh my God, it looks so good.
If it was up to me, I would have had them do that the whole season.
It should have stayed, and it was funny because I think they only raced that car in Turkey because the Japanese Grand Prix was canceled that year. And then this will take me to my number 9 pick.
Okay.
I have McLaren ranked at 9.
Same.
Good, perfect. That works out great.
Yeah.
But I think their Gulf livery, even though they lost Gulf as a sponsor and it went to Williams, I think their Gulf livery was it last year or year before? I don't remember. See if you can find that real quick. But their Gulf livery, the white with the orange tint, that was, I think, an all-time car. This year they went again with the papaya. They're leaning into that, and that's great. I like that. I think the orange papaya look is good.
Sick, but
the blue.
Why?
Why the blue?
Dude, we don't need any like contrast or anything. Just run straight.
Run black and orange.
Yeah, black and orange. I love it.
The blue makes no sense. And then, when they first did their Google Chrome wheel covers,
that was sick.
It looks good, but I think now with this year's car, it just looks different.
Yeah.
It looks weird. It's too much color. I think this car could look better if it was blockier, but the flowing blue, they try and make it. It almost looks like, it has like a watery flow to it.
Yeah, they got too much of the Google Chrome logo incorporated.
which adds too much color because now you have orange, you have black, you have yellow, I think is in the Google Chrome.
Yeah.
There's red.
Yeah, if it was just black and orange, it would be much cleaner.
Yeah, it looks like a European Hockey League ice rink, just with so much different stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's hard to pay attention to. It's hard to look at, honestly. I think again, if they just went with like a solid orange and black color scheme, that would look great. I'm scratching my head, like I think a lot of people, why the blue is even there, because historically, I don't, in my few years of watching F1, but a lot of the research I've done, blue has never really been a part of their color scheme before. Like their old silver car, silver and red, when Lewis drove it.
They may just be trying to like add some kind of...
Do something new, I guess, but those two colors just don't go together. Do better, McLaren. Do better.
Do better.
Who do you have at 8?
I got Williams.
Oh, I thought you were going to go higher on Williams. I almost had them at 8.
Yeah, as much as I love the Duracell intake thing, which I think is so clever, it's just I don't know. It does nothing.
There's not a lot of contrast to it, and that's going to sound like complete 180 from what we just said. Yeah. But it's the fact that there's just two or three different tones of blue.
Yeah,
it's a boring car.
It's just some of the graphics too are just like not that interesting. But
yeah, I think overall the car just looks boring, and I'll be the first one to say I don't like blue as a color in general, especially light blue. Probably why I have issue with the McLaren. I mean, this is more like a mid to dark blue, chrome look. Also, the way it fits on the Williams, I'll go ahead and say I have Williams ranked at number 7. So one ahead. I'll skip ahead.
Okay.
I'll give my 8 in a second. I have Williams ranked at 7. I do love the Duracell battery. I didn't even notice it until you pointed it out to me.
Yeah, happened like midway through season last year.
I didn't notice it at all last year. That is super clever. Love that. If they could do more of that. I was disappointed in Williams because they now have Gulf as a sponsor. I was really, really crossing my fingers for Williams to take a swing similar to the way that Alpine did and just kind of stealing that pink look from Racing Point when BWP became their sponsor, and seeing Williams do a classic Gulf livery because they back in the 90s they had a white livery. Why not go back and kind of incorporate something like that? Yeah. The blue that they're doing these days, it looks like an Amazon package. Not interested. It doesn't flow right. The way that they have the rounded nose too, it looks weird. Like if you look at the nose, you doing a drop? Nah. Is that Max?
Yeah.
Amazing. The rounded nose of the Williams too. I think they could find a better color to fit the shape of the car. I'll cross Williams off the list. That was your 8, my 7. My 8, I have Aston Martin.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of the green. I've never really liked the way that car looks. I think they chose green just to go off the grid. I don't even know what like Aston Martin, the car company's color scheme is, because if I picture their logo, it's just silver. So like what their company colors are, I don't even know.
I'm not sure exactly, but
they do have a nice like lime green, yellowish stripe that goes front to back, which is again just another way that they rip off Mercedes. Because Mercedes, I think, literally has the same thing. I'll give them this, the black front wing. It looks good.
They currently incorporate the green into their branding.
Okay. But Aston Martin's really just a title sponsor for them. Everybody knows that they're owned by Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that car. I've never liked it too much. I think they did a better job this year, but it's only because of the carbon fiber black that makes it kind of forgivable. That's my 8. Who do you have at... You didn't do your 7 yet, right?
Not yet.
Who do you have at 7?
Red Bull.
Ooh.
7.
Out of
it's
sheer
a very
laziness?
classic. Yeah, it's a classic look, classic branding, and I give them a little bit of respect for that, just sticking with it. But
you're the biggest team right now. This was a year to make a splash. I think fans want something new from Red Bull. I read the comments in anytime they debut their new team, shirts, their jerseys, and I see constantly people just complaining about the look of what they're doing.
And here's the thing, right? I love them sticking with the classic look.
Sure.
But what I would love to see is more one-off liveries, right?
Yeah.
Like your base livery is your classic one, right? And then like have a bunch of different ones you go to throughout the season just to kind of mix it up a little bit, do something fun.
I would love, I'm biased, to see a Red Bull car where they drop the dark blue, and go black. I think that would even just look cool. I think that would be a good look. I mean, what they've done this year is basically what they've done near since their inception as a team. They've had a few one-offs like the camo. They had the Red Bull can car. They had the Japanese one, which, again, like we said, was beautiful. But it's literally a couple touch-ups here and there, but it's basically the exact same thing. And it's an iconic nose wing. It's an iconic intake. It's got the yellow, the Red Bulls on the side.
What would you have done if they came out just straight silver and blue, like
a Red Bull can?
Yeah.
They've done that. They did that for a one-off. I don't know if it was a testing, but you can find it. It's out there. It's funny looking. It looks like a really, really fast Red Bull can. I think it would be funnier if they went with a sugar-free and they did the light blue, just for whatever reason. The specificity of a sugar-free would just make me laugh. Funny that you have them at 7 because I have them at 6 for the exact same reason. Sheer laziness. You're the biggest team on the grid this year. You have some of the most financial backing. You're the ones with the target on your back. And maybe that's, reason to not focus on a livery. That's kind of the Max Verstappen mentality to begin with. That guy just wants to go out there and drive. He doesn't care what the media says. So maybe this is Red Bull's way of just saying we just want to go out there and defend our championship. We don't care about the optics of, what Twitter has to say about our paint job. So that's why I have them at 6. Did you do your 6?
I have not said it yet, but I picked AlphaTauri just because of...
Oh, wow.
Because, I kind of put them and Red Bull kind of in the same category, but like... Last year, I don't know if they're getting too much love because of last year. I liked their livery so much more than Red Bull's, but that's kind of why I put them there.
I should say too that I think like the Red Bull livery as a whole is one of my absolute favorites on the grid. It's just like your fucking Nona's bread. It's getting stale.
Yeah, I just loved like the cleanness of the just the white and blue.
Yeah.
So.
Both of them, they're great liveries. It's just, it's getting old. That's why, I guess I could have probably had AlphaTauri listed a little bit higher. Throw me your number 5.
I picked Haas.
Ooh.
It's my number 5 because the extra black on there this year just makes it look just so much meaner.
Okay. I have Alpine in that spot, and I wrote down emphasis on pink. Because I know that they're going to be running that. They ran it 2 times last year. I think they're probably going to be doing the same thing. But because they debut it as an actual Alpine livery is why I move them up. Otherwise, I think I'd have them somewhere in the same vein as the McLaren or Williams. I don't like blue as a livery. It really isn't that different from last year. But it's. I think the pink is just so sexy. That's one of my favorite looks in all of F1 and racing too. My grandpa's old company when I was a little kid used to sponsor a race car, like a low-level NASCAR out in Saugus, and it was pink. And maybe that's why I have such an affinity for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Could be. Throw me your number 4.
Aston Martin.
Okay.
Just I personally love the emerald green. Like it's cool. It makes it stand out. It looks clean. It doesn't. They don't ever get messy with the different colors and all the.
Yeah.
They always.
It is a solid. It's one solid thing.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. And like I just think that the emerald green is very classy. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't disagree. I guess I kind of did because I had them ranked way farther down.
Yeah. To each their own.
Number 4, I have Alfa Romeo. I really, that car for the past 2 seasons has looked absolutely gorgeous. Not only their livery, but their merch is like, they might be on the bottom in the standings, but their merch and their livery is
this year
up in the top.
This year they just went straight black and red.
Yeah.
It looks so mean and just like...
That's exactly how I was going to put it. It looks mean. Yeah. It looks fierce.
Yeah, I love it.
I think something about the darker the car says something about like the fierceness and it's like an intimidation factor. When you just see like a mean, dark F1 car, it looks like a big black widow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and plus, you know, if you take a look at like the little inlets on the side pods, they look much more aggressive than a lot of the other cars. So I think that helps give it that mean look. Yeah,
their side pods this year are, when I was looking at it last, they're almost a carbon copy of what Ferraris look like. The big round.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a Ferrari-powered car, so you can expect that. They have the Ferrari engine, so a lot of their aero and their body flow is going to follow what Ferrari already has. Not saying that they're stealing it or anything, but it's that big, deep like pool, wide, and then the venting along the sides there. It looks a lot like the Ferrari. I'm sure there's subtle differences that, you know, can find. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a great-looking car. They kind of just flip-flopped their color scheme from... white and red last year to black and red. It's almost the exact same. I probably would have had them higher if they had done something a little bit different, but I do still love that car.
Yeah. Last year was cool too.
That was a great looking car.
Yeah.
When they debuted this year, I thought, you know, this might be my favorite livery of the season until a couple others, and then I held true. We'll get to that. Who do you have at number 3?
That was my number 3 was Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo?
Yeah.
Killer. I have at number 3, I have Ferrari.
Okay.
I really like theirs. It looks good. I think the Ferrari car as a whole just looks like a beast this year. I think that they could be the team to beat. We'll see a little bit more after testing. But yeah, they went, I think, similar to the Alfa Romeo, the black with the carbon fiber on the car with their red, and then the way it kind of fades to black a little bit more on the back. I think it just looks great. The side pods, the floorboards, the black color scheme on that with the Ferrari classic red, it just looks like a beast.
Yeah, they're my number 2.
Okay.
I know that they changed the red a little bit this year. It's just like a slightly different shade of red. And I don't know if that's kind of affected it, made it look just like so much.
Maybe it's less of a poppy red.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the whole grid this year is like gone goth, but I feel like this year is the dark Ferrari mode.
I like it, and that's what they need. Yeah. They need, like we said, they need to get angry. Charles Leclerc needs to get angry.
Yeah, we can get into that a little bit later, but
yeah. I have at number 2 Mercedes.
Okay.
Wait, did you already do your 3?
Yeah. I've already
had
done,
Alpha.
Yeah, because we got pretty similar rankings. I'm just a little off.
Okay.
So my number 1 was Mercedes.
Okay.
And then Ferrari, then Alfa, Aston Martin.
So you have Ferrari at 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the Mercedes then. Mercedes this year did something. They went back to black, which is like I can talk about a beautiful black race car all day. That's what I think everybody wanted them to do. There was a lot of car reveals of fan shots, reactions of people just being like, it's black, is it black?
Yeah.
Which is what everybody wanted. And that's what I think Mercedes is good at, is giving fans what they want. Red Bull,
not so much.
McLaren, all these other teams can take a note of what Mercedes does. One thing that they did very differently that I haven't seen is, I don't know if you noticed this, but the color scheme of the 2 drivers' numbers is different.
Yeah. We've got
Lewis's is yellow and George's is green,
which is cool.
Very cool. I think.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of individuality in between the 2 cars. Not only the numbers, but the trim around the air intake and the roll bar has the driver's individual colors. And I think that's rad.
Yeah, and the green is like a mint, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's like a mint color,
It's kind of like it's a little bit of like what they're...
Or actually it's more like lime, and then the accent on the side of the car is mint. But
yeah. But yeah, beautiful. The Mercedes has the really slim body again this year. I forget who it was. Oh, Aston Martin also. I don't know if you saw their, if you took a look at their side pods, looks very, very similar. Not to get them in trouble again.
Very aggressive look
to what the Mercedes has in the slim side pods, like as a contrast to what we were saying about the Ferrari, which has big, bulbous, rounded side pods. So two different engine suppliers, two different arrows. I got the Mercedes at 2. I think it's a great look. You said your number 1 was Mercedes.
I have to give it to them.
Top of the field for you.
It just looks so sick. Just thought the black on black, and
I might have had them there if it weren't for the fact that they've already done it.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it, dude. I mean, this you could say that my 1 and 2 might be 1A and 1B because I do really, really love the Mercedes. And as much as I used to dog on them, I'm happy to see them and happy to have the excitement for them to be back in the title hunt this year. I think it's going to be really fun to see George and Lewis battle it out and to have hopefully a three-way battle. My number 1, I went with the American boys, Haas. That was the first car that we saw revealed. I love that they did something new. It's not crazy new because it is slightly similar to what we've seen, but I love, like we've said, a sleek 2 color tones. It's predominantly black and white, other than, the new MoneyGram logos, which do look kind of awkward on the back of the car, close to the rear wing, because MoneyGram has the logo itself has like an arrow, and the arrows are pointing in different directions. I forgive them for that. I think it's so clean. They dropped the Uralkali blue Russian color scheme that they had.
Russian color scheme.
Not last year before. And it's just nice to see, with all the issues that Haas has had with title sponsors and everything, that they can just solidify a sponsor. They can solidify like a look that is theirs. I think it looks sleek, black and white. That's a mean look. Same thing what we were saying about the AlphaTauri, that just black and blue or white and blue. Sorry. I think it looks good. I like the striping on it. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because they are technically an American team, although they're really, let's be honest, not at all.
They're a Ferrari satellite team.
Correct. With financial backing from an American convict. So, Gene Haas went to jail. He went to prison for a few years.
Nah.
Yeah, I think it looks great. That's my number 1 livery.
Is there any that you might expect to see change the most? Like, going from, maybe mid-season, like which one could we like?
I could see a team like Alfa Romeo doing some changes. I could see Red Bull doing a one-off and surprising because they really, really disappointed fans this year. And they got so much negative kickback from their launch that I could see them pulling together something mid-season for, maybe Suzuka, Singapore. Who knows? Maybe their home race, they'll go with an Austrian orange. Who knows? Mm-hmm. I really doubt that they'll go that far, but I think they owe fans a little bit. And so maybe they'll go with something like that.
Cool. I like it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Should we move on to...
Let's move on to the rookies. You want to talk about the rookies a little bit?
Yeah.
Let's do it. We, this season, are welcoming who? We have 3 rookies coming in, and then we also have an old face in Nico Hülkenberg.
Do we even count him as a rookie?
No, I'm not saying that he's a rookie at all, but we have, like I said, he's an old face. He's coming back. Mm-hmm. And I was mentioning that because I'm as excited about Nico coming back as I am about all 3 rookies. I think he's just such a crowd favorite. People love him. I don't see how you could root against Nico Hülkenberg, and he's on a team that I am always crossing my fingers for. So get that out of the way. I'm excited for Nico. Are you not excited for Nico?
Like, I think it would be cool to see him come back, but I don't know that he's going to make as much of a splash as, maybe some of the
He is in a
people on the
Haas.
grid. He's in a Haas, but, and like I think the story is going to be about like how he and K-Mag kind of like stack up against each other, and like how their like history with their relationship affects, their team and their performance. But
yeah, I mean, we're basing their entire relationship around one clip that happened.
Yeah, but these guys, that's
they race against each other for years.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition.
I don't know how strenuous their relationship was. I think that the Esteban Ocon Pierre Gasly relationship is probably more tense than the one between these two guys.
Sure, I could say that.
Just because of the entire "suck my balls" saga. Yeah, I'm excited about Nico.
Once again, most unsportive driver of the
Suck my balls, man.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's talk about Nick DeVries. How do you feel?
I mean, I think of our 3 rookies, I think he's going to be the strongest. I mean, he's already got a race under his belt.
Which he did great in.
And that's kind of what makes me think that he's going to kind of like, he might struggle to find his footing a little bit with the AlphaTauri team and just kind of getting settled in. But mind you, like, he was in Williams, right, when he made his debut, and he did awesome.
Yeah, I think had he been in the AlphaTauri of not last season but the season before, he could really show up, because he drove 3 different cars last season. Yeah, he drove the Mercedes, he drove the Aston, and he drove the Williams.
Yeah, so that gives him a lot of experience coming into this year.
He looked good in all of them. Given a good car, let's hope that AlphaTauri rebounds this year. I don't know that they will.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they really had a severe drop-off. It seems like once they kind of cut all ties with Red Bull and became a completely independent operation outside of the engine manufacturing, that's when things started going bad. Because for a while they had the same nose wing, or similar, like their aero design was just about the same, just slight tweaks that were different. Now that they've completely separated themselves, they've been struggling. But fingers crossed, Nick DeVries, I think he's rad. It's funny to even call him a rookie because I think he's older than Max.
Yeah, and he's he's pretty experienced. Like
he's a Formula E champ.
Just a couple years ago.
He won F2, did he not?
I believe so.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy has a trophy case that would rival anybody outside of, F1 world champions.
Yeah, and I think, it's going to be interesting, him being paired with Yuki. At AlphaTauri, like, this year is going to be, like, a big year for Yuki, and it's going to, like, it could make or break his F1 career. Like, if DeVries comes in as, like, consistently, outperforming him, they're gonna, I feel like the team's gonna start to question like what they're doing with that other seat.
Yuki got off kind of light, having Pierre just sort of struggling and kind of honestly phoning it in. It seemed like for the last little bit of his tenure at AlphaTauri. I don't think he was very happy there. I think once the Alpine seat became available to him, he jumped at the opportunity to get away.
Something new.
Yeah, always just kind of having a bad shadow cast on him. I think as a whole, this is such a win for Formula One, not just Nick DeVries, but Formula One fans, because there's nobody more deserving to get a full-time race seat than that guy.
Yeah, he stuck around, put in his time, and like, I feel like, as long, the car may not be there, but I think mentally he'll be there, and so I think like, he does stand a good chance to like,
and this could be a great audition because Sergio Perez's contract at Red Bull won't be there forever. It's not going to last as long as Max is. As much as I love Checo, he's one of my favorite drivers. He is on the darker side of his career, and they might want to go younger. Daniel Ricciardo's not going to get that seat if Checo doesn't get renewed or chooses to retire, because I think that'd be a little bit of a step back, even though he is their reserve driver. Why not go all Dutch?
I don't think they're going to bring DR back in.
No, I mean, there are people saying that, Checo's seat could be in danger with Daniel Ricciardo in the wings. But I think
people are going to say that,
insane.
but it's not realistic.
Of course.
He's there as a like PR mechanism for the team.
Exactly, and he's there as a cheap and easy gathering of information because he does know a lot about driving. He can bring you a lot of good data. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing behind the wheel, and that's statistics. At least for the last few years of his career.
Yeah.
So we've got Nick DeVries. Let's do. Who do you want to talk about next? Because
I think
I'm excited about both these two guys.
Yeah. As far as like performance, I feel like, I mean, there's a lot of hype around Piastri.
Of course.
I don't know. It's tough. I feel like Piastri's probably going to end up performing a little bit better than Logan. Just because based on like team, you say you doubt it.
No, I said undoubtedly.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Okay. I mean, he's in a better car. I hope the Williams is better this year. I don't know if I want it to be better than the McLaren because I would love to see McLaren fourth. But Oscar is probably the better driver. He might be I shouldn't even say that, but I think his ceiling is higher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's been a reserve driver for a little bit, so he's has a little bit more experience working directly within the F1 teams.
Yeah. He might be gripping the wheel a little tighter than Logan. I think Logan's going to have a lot less stress.
Yeah, there's a lot less pressure for Logan.
100%.
So mentally, like I think things are going to be a little bit easier for Logan. He's not, his team got last in the constructors standings last year, so there's not a whole lot of pressure on him in the car to go out there and perform. He just kind of has to go out and I think do the laps, and just get the experience under his belt and let it come to him.
I am so excited about Logan Sargent coming in. One, because I want Williams to succeed. One of the most historic teams, despite the fact that their livery is ugly. I love Alex Albon. And he is the first American driver in 15 plus years, full-time seat. I mean, we did, we had a few guys who took part in a few races as reserve drivers. But I'm a homer when it comes to that shit. I'm not the most patriotic guy. I love the United States, but I really, really turn in to G.I. Joe when it comes to any sporting event where I could fly the red, white, and blue. And I'm so stoked to have Logan Sargent on the grid. But like I said, also very excited for Oscar Piastri just because of the hype around him. He is, they say that he's got the talent levels of a Charles Leclerc, of a George Russell, a Lando Norris, and it's exciting to have him on a team paired up with Lando Norris.
How do you think that relationship's going to work?
Well, when Lando responded to the tweet, he said, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, driver pairing, I like the sound of that. Or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I literally read it yesterday. I don't see why it won't work. Lando seems like a really, really easy teammate to get along with.
Sure.
I know there was a little bit of sandpaper between him and Daniel Ricciardo last year, but I think that was mostly coming from Daniel Ricciardo's side.
Sure, yeah.
Because he was laps at sometimes behind a guy, 10 plus years his junior.
Yeah.
On a team that he was supposed to revitalize his career with, yada, yada. And I mean, I think Lando is a world beater. You put him in a great car and he's going to get you great results. I could see Lando, if McLaren doesn't work out, leaving that contract. And there are rumors that may happen in the future. There's rumors that Lando, let's say if Checo doesn't get renewed, that Lando may break his contract with McLaren and be the next Red Bull driver, or that he'll end up at Mercedes once Lewis retires.
Yeah, or he might end up at Audi.
Or Audi, yeah. I mean, that's how much I think Lando is sought after.
Which is weird because there hasn't really been the results for that, right?
You see it. At individual races.
Sure.
And whenever it doesn't go well, for whatever reason, and this might not even be the right way to do it, but the blame always lands on McLaren and not Lando.
Sure.
And that might just be because he's a crowd favorite. And that could be the wrong way to go. He could be, we can be just, biased because everybody loves Lando.
Yeah.
I think it's hard not to. But I think they're going to be a good pairing. They're going to be a fun team to root for because they're going to be the young guns. They might be the youngest pairing on the grid.
Yeah.
Them and Logan,
They're not the shortest. Do you know the shortest?
The shortest, well, it's got to be Yuki and Nick DeVries.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, Nick DeVries doesn't look like a big guy.
Yeah, the short king team.
When I was at the Mexico Grand Prix 2 seasons ago, Yuki crashed on turn 1 or turn 2 right in front of us, and he had to get out of his car. And I've told you this before. He looked like a little ant getting out of his car. It was the sweet. He looked like a little alien. His helmet was so big on his shoulders.
Yeah,
he looked like a little tiny alien leaving his UFO. But I do think the McLaren duo is going to be fun. Oscar has a lot of weight on his shoulders, which I think he needs to let go of if he wants to have a better season.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how he's going to handle it. He's going to have a lot of pressure. The first 3 or 4 races of the season are going to be huge for him. It's going to kind of, I think, dictate like how his first couple of years are going to go. But
yeah, how do you think Alex Albon and Logan Sargent are going to fare together?
I feel like just relationship wise, they'll be cool. Like Alex is like such a like.
That's why I love Alex.
Genuine,
I think he's one of the
Yeah, he's got like
he's so wholesome.
Yeah, nobody could hate him.
And it's great to see him leading a team.
Yeah, it's great. He's a great driver, and it's going to be, I think, a cool opportunity for Logan to a good person for Logan to learn from.
Yeah.
See how the team, progresses throughout the season with the development of the car and all that stuff. I think, and like you said earlier, there's not going to be like a whole lot of pressure on him to necessarily like, get into the points immediately.
Yeah.
But I feel like, if he can follow Alex's lead a little bit, kind of like I said, just do the laps, be consistent, he'll be looking good.
That's all he's got. He doesn't really have a whole lot of pressure on him. He's going to have a lot of fun in Miami. He's going to have a lot of fun in Texas. He's going to have a lot of fun in Vegas. He's going to be swatting. He's
going to be all over all
right.
of the, all the PR hits is going to be about Logan.
Yeah, deservedly so. I mean, that's, I think, one of the reasons that they brought him in, and I think it's a good move. They're hopefully on the up and up. They've got some things to figure out. I think they would have had a better season last year if they weren't dragging a dead dog behind Alex Albon. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's a little harsh, but I think Nicholas Latifi just never deserved to be there in the first place. So he's in a good spot. He's going to be low pressure. He's on a team that's hopefully on the up and up. So yeah, good for Williams, good for Logan Sargent. I'm excited about that. I'm also excited for Alex, like I just said, that he deserves a competent teammate and a team that he can lead. Stoked for those guys. I'm excited for all the rookies this year and for the return of Hulk. Hopefully he'll get that podium. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm excited.
Hell yeah. So we have testing coming up this weekend. It is, I believe, Friday, March 24th is day 1 of preseason testing. Do you have any expectations of what's going to be happening?
I mean, we're going to see, probably all the teams run a bunch of different scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be,
as always,
there's going to be a lot of assumptions made by a lot of different people. There's going to be a lot of predictions, but I feel like, some of it's going to be hard to really figure out what's going on. There's Mercedes, for instance, last year came out it was very obvious they had issues going on, right? And everybody was saying having a bad time. Everyone was saying, "Oh, well, this is what happens every year. Every year, this is what." And then by the time the second race comes around, they're like out there, like
which did not happen.
Which didn't happen this year.
They struggled bad last year.
And that's not to say that like that's going to happen this year, but if anything's going to be like. I don't know. I feel like this, this first couple of days of practice aren't going to give us a whole lot of information.
No, they're going to have the rakes on. They're going to have the paint on the front. It's just about getting an idea, but you do see who's got speed and who doesn't. I think Mercedes is going to have speed. I think they really dialed their car in and were dangerous last year, and this is just going to be a continuation on the end of their season last year. I think they're going to be quick. I wouldn't be shocked if Red Bull comes out flying again and doesn't make too many changes to their car from last year. I also wouldn't be shocked if they invested a little bit too much in changes and their lack of wind tunnel time because of the penalty they got might come back and bite them in the ass. I do also think that Ferrari is going to come out flying. I hope to see some shuffling in the midfield. I would like to see Haas move up. I'd love to see Williams move up. I don't know how much I trust that as much as I want it. I don't know why, but I could give two shits about where Aston Martin lands. For some reason, I don't know why.
I think it is going to be interesting. For them, just kind of seeing where they come out at, just because like we talked about earlier, like all the investment that's been going in. This is kind of the year where we're going to first see that. So it'll be cool to see. It'd be nice to see Fernando in that car and like what he's able to get out of it.
Yeah.
But to me personally, like the team I'm going to be most interested in, I think, is Ferrari.
Yeah.
Because I think they were obviously the strongest second place team. There's a lot of changes. Fred Vasseur's coming in. There's going to be a whole vibe change there.
Yeah.
They came in to change some of the operations and stuff like that. So
I think Chuck is going to come out swinging. Charles Leclerc is going to come out. Hopefully he got a nice rest in the offseason and was able to let what happened to him last year go. But I mean, at the same time, if you think Max isn't going to be doing the exact same, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, we also heard a lot about over the offseason, the Ferrari motor this year is supposed to be a quote-unquote bomb, as in ultimately fast. I guess they fixed a lot of the issues they had with not endurance, but what's the word?
I mean, endurance. I get what you're saying.
Just a part. So they had to turn the power down a little bit.
Wear and tear on the engine.
Yeah, so they have reliability issues last year with the motors because so they ended up having to dial it back a little bit throughout the season. So I think if they kind of got that figured out this year, they could come out really quick.
That's good news for Haas and for Alfa Romeo too. And those are two teams that I think could potentially move themselves up a position or two. Also, not to count out Alpine. They really turned their shit up last year and became kind of kings of the midfield. Knocked McLaren off, their podium. I just think all around it's going to be exciting. I think we might see a little bit of shuffling of the deck chairs. Not so much at the top. I think the big three are going to stay there.
Yeah, but the midfield for sure. Like we're gonna see that it's going to be the Aston Martin, McLaren, Alpine fight.
Yeah,
right there.
I really was hopeful that McLaren would join the title fight and we could get a four-way battle, but it just doesn't look that way. And then, of course, with Oscar Piastri doing his very first season in F1, it's unlikely. If he comes out and is a world beater and McLaren has a good car, I don't think that would be too shocking either. The guy's a great driver, Prodigies tend to be prodigies. Lewis almost won in his first season in McLaren. History might repeat itself. Just highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But we have a lot to look forward to at testing. We'll recap that, and then our very first race coming in just under 2 weeks. This has been Into the Chicane. Be sure to check us out, follow, like, subscribe, and check out the Into the Chicane Quick Bits where we'll be doing all breaking news.
Cool. See ya.
See ya.